So I'm aware that I've not made a video in quite some time, and that is because, one, my mind's just been so occupied with what I've been planning, or rather what I'm currently doing, and two, I actually made a second channel which I was planning to make my main channel and kind of upload to. Although, on second thought, this channel is called Mint Essence. Mint Essence being the name that I generally go by on the internet, and is therefore a reflection of me. It was made to be nothing else but a reflection to me, and for the whole duration of I've used the channel, that's what it's been. So as much as I was excited about the second channel, I don't really think it would be fair to stop uploading to this one, or to upload a lot less often and change over to that. Again, if this channel is supposed to be a reflection of me, it should be a reflection of everything, not just a certain side of me. But yeah, the thing that I've been thinking about, preparing about so much, that I'm currently doing, and the reason that I made the second channel, is that just over a week ago, today's Friday, last week on Tuesday, I quit my job. I was going to wait to Friday, finish the week, but I became far too restless. And the reason that I quit my job is precisely this. You'll remember that in my last fit, actually I didn't mention that in the last video, never got to it. But in the last video I made about this place, about the Noon, when I was last here, just 2 months ago in July, I was sitting by this beach just down a bit, and it was the Thursday night, which was my last night here, the Thursday being my last full day. And I was just reflecting upon how grateful I was, how happy I was to have been given a few days off work, because I was supposed to be here for the full week, but I was only here for half of it. I was only here from Wednesday to Friday, and that was because I got unexpectedly laid off for those 3 days. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have came here at all. And who knows, I might not be standing here now, but I certainly wouldn't have been there in July. I wouldn't have been there with my cousin. I wouldn't have had as much fun as I had. I wouldn't have made the memories I had. I wouldn't have went to the places I went to, like Bishop's Glen, which I'm now using as a camping place. Just, again, this wouldn't have happened, the memories wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been with my cousin, who I hadn't seen for literally a whole year at that point, for the sake of 3 days at work, 3 days wages. But yeah, I just kind of sat there reflecting upon that. And as time has went on, because of a series of things, like my breakup with Addy, along with just how hard I'm realising that it's going to be to get a house, the fact that I've been laid off so often, that consistently since January, really, since the whole of this year, I've been getting random days off. Some days it's 1 day in the week, some days it's 2 days, some days it's 3 days. Some weeks I'm not even in. At the longest point, there was 2.5 weeks, nearly 3 weeks, where I just wasn't in at all, and I had absolutely no idea day to day if I was going to be in or not. And there's also no overtime. So I've broke up with Addy. Of course, I'm with Hayley, who I'm eternally grateful for, but this is just going to explain the series of events that led up to it. I broke up with her. I realised it was probably going to be harder to get a house than I first thought, and the money that I was getting and the time that I was working just wasn't enough to save up. That, I think, along with coming here, it just, again, I don't repeat myself, but just sitting by the beach, thinking, appreciating my time there, being grateful that I was laid off, simply being able to do anything that I wanted, go wherever I wanted for that small amount of time. It made me really realise that the job wasn't worth it, the house even wasn't worth it, because if I got the house, I would have had to pay a mortgage, I'd have had to pay bills, I'd have had to pay electricity, gas, council tax, all sorts for it. And as a result of that, even after the mortgage was paid off, I would have to work. I would have to work to keep the house again, to keep the lights on, to keep the gas on, to pay the council tax, to pay food, to pay internet especially, just all of these different little bills and costs that come along with having a house. So I'd be stuck in a job. Maybe at some point I would have got restless and I would have quit the job that I was currently at, rather than I was at last week Tuesday. Maybe I would have quit that, but I would have found something similar. Even if it paid a little better, even if the hours were slightly less, it would have been a similar kind of job. It would still have probably been Monday to Friday, and it would have just been, I would have been stuck. I would have been stuck in the one place, working the same job, doing the same routine that I'd basically been doing for a year and 2 months, being at the last job. Get up, go straight to work, and then by the time I got home, I'm lucky to have a few hours by myself. Get up the next day, go straight to work, get home, I got a few hours by myself. Get up the next day, go to work, get home, a few hours by myself. It just wasn't worth it. In the long term, in terms of just having a steady job that's going to take me years, or a series of jobs that I'm just going to continually have, it's not worth the money. The house isn't worth the money. Just the drain on my time, the drain on my energy, the lack of freedom, being stuck in one place, doing one thing, having to work by a clock, knowing that before I can really start my day, before I can do what I want to do, just before I can be myself, before I can really be, that I have to work, that I have to be at this certain place with these certain people, with people having power over me. It plain and simple was not worth it. So I decided to quit the job, and for the foreseeable future, at least for the next year and into the summer of next year, I plan to stay completely jobless, as well as basically completely homeless, which is why I'm here, which is why I'm in Dunoon. I mentioned this in the last video, but me and my family have been coming here since I was about 5-6 years old. So for about 15 years, give or take a year. So I'm obviously familiar with the place, but apart from 1 year, I've only came one time every year, the longest of which has been a week, although in recent years it's only been 5 days, and as I says, this year has unfortunately only been 3 days because of my job, but I'm really lucky to be here at all. Yeah. After the noon, I'm just going to continue travelling and basically be a kind of tramp. I've got a tent, I've got a few bags, I've got supplies, I've got everything I could possibly need. Extra clothes, good jackets, I even found a tarp. And I'm basically just going to be walking around the country, maybe occasionally getting a bus or even a train in terms of longer distances, but mostly just walking from place to place. From Dunoon, Edinburgh, Perth, Falkirk, Dundee, Inverness, Oban, all over the country, and hopefully eventually England as well when I get around to that. But for now, just Scotland. Right now, as I speak, I have 9,526 pounds in the bank. 9,526 pounds. Just over 9,526 pounds. And I'm expecting more holiday pay, which should take me up a bit again. I don't know if I'll quite make it to £10,000, but regardless if I do or if I don't, I should make it most of the way there. And we'll have, again, this is at the very least, not only £9,500, but an extra 200 or 300, like a comfortable kind of stopgap, meaning that I have a little bit of spending money before I go back to the amount I'm currently at. Given how thrifty, or rather stingy I generally am, the fact that I generally won't even pay for the smallest and the cheapest luxuries, that I go for the cheapest food, the cheapest things, that I'll walk for several hours rather than get a bus, unless I really have to. I should be able to spend, at the very most, I wouldn't even say that, I'd say probably anywhere between £2 and £4 at the absolute most a day. £2 or £4. There may be some rare occasions, again, like getting transport costs, or if I need to buy something in particular or something breaks, but just kind of day to day, week to week, month to month even, that's what I expect to be spending on average. And in terms of just food, unfortunately I have had to buy a torch and a can opener. No, sorry, not a torch, a can opener and a pair of scissors, which just put me a bit more. But in terms of food, I have only been spending about £2 or £3 a day, which puts me well on track for exactly what I want to be spending. So yeah, I'm just going to live like this for the foreseeable future. Just kind of wandering around the country. I'm especially excited to get to Edinburgh and just to be able to kind of set up my tent, set up my camp in the outskirts of the city, find a small forest or a big series of bushes, somewhere discreet, somewhere out of the way, somewhere nice and quiet, and just be able to camp there and kind of every day to wake up, get out of my tent, and again just be able to walk into the city, to be able to walk around Edinburgh, to be there, to live there essentially, and to have full free time to be able to do anything and everything whenever I possibly could want in the city. Sometime in July or maybe August, basically just after I've came back up here with my cousin and the rest of the family again, back up to Dunoon, I do plan to go back to my old job briefly, but it will be very briefly. At most it'll be for 2 months, although honestly I doubt that. It'll probably just be for a month, maybe a month and a half. Again, at the absolute most, it'll only be for 2 months. Just to kind of recuperate any of my money hopefully there'll be overtime then, and I can actually not only gain back any of the money that I might have spent between now and again either July or August, but I'll also be able to make a little extra, even if that's just a few £100 extra, and that'll kind of keep me floating, keep me safe in terms of money. I mean, I have nearly 10 grand, especially with the holiday money coming in. I have basically, if not literally 10 grand, which is either just directly in my bank in terms of 95% off it or the 5% off it, and I'm expecting. I really don't need to worry about money, but still, it would be nice to know that whatever I lose, I can recuperate it again, I can get back. But yeah, that's essentially it with the video. I'll be continuing to upload videos to this channel, and they might be more sporadic because I don't know when I'll have enough internet to upload things, but they'll be a lot more often. They will, unfortunately, probably be a lot shorter. This will be definitely one of the longer ones. Most of them will be less than 10 minutes, quite a few less than 5 minutes, but I felt like I really needed to take the time to explain this. Again, just to recap, I quit my job. I've essentially devoted myself to the life of a tramp, travelling between city and city, between town and town, living out of my tent, visiting museums, libraries, art galleries, places of any significance. Again, just doing what I want, whenever I want, however I want. Right now, it's Friday. I would have been at work if I didn't quit my job, or I probably would have been if I wasn't laid off again. But rather than being at work, I'm simply standing here in Dunoon, a place that I have great nostalgia for, great memory for, great love for. And I'm just standing here by the sea, looking out at the water, looking at the boats. It doesn't really matter. The point is, I want to be here. I want to be doing this. I don't want to be at work. I don't want to be doing that. So I just made that decision. I made that choice to be here, to be rather than be there.